one team that I was requested to do a video about, Buffalo Sabres. So I threw on the Buffalo hat that I haven't worn in quite a while because it doesn't quite fit me properly. It's too big or too wide or something. And my Buffalo jersey, which I love because it's ugly. Um, the thing is, with Buffalo, it's a matter of how do you fix this? How do you fix this? The Buffalo Sabres currently are in a position where they're about 500, and Okposo, O'Reilly, Reinhart, Giunta, Eichel, Kane. You're getting decent production out of these guys. Molson's got 9 power play goals, so he's worthy of sticking around. Foligno's good depth. But there's definitely a look to this team that maybe they're not quite there yet. And in terms of Reinhart, Reinhart's got 33 points in 54 games right now. He had 42 points last year in 79 games. So his improvement is incremental. And when a player's improvement is incremental, you got to kind of put an asterisk there. This guy may not pan out to be what we thought he was going to be. Now, in Reinhardt's case, I could be completely off base because it can often take 3 full seasons in the NHL before a guy reaches near his potential. And then year 4, they're good. So Reinhardt, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. And he's been playing more wing than center, and at some point he'll get his time at center. O'Reilly's been good. O'Reilly, again, is one of those guys that I look at and I say he's good, but he's not a superstar. So if Buffalo is going to become a player in the Eastern Conference, where there's a lot of really good teams right now, they need that superstar. Eichel can be that superstar. Eichel has to work on his faceoffs. He has to work on his consistency. He's got a shooting percentage just below 10%, so that's just part of being a kid and some bad puck luck. Buffalo has the pieces. So, I mean, Eichel's there long term. Okposo's there on a long term contract. Reinhardt's there long term. And then after that, you kind of get sketchy. Like, is Marcus Foligno a long term guy for the Sabres? Probably, following in the footsteps of Mike Foligno, who was in the NHL for quite a while. But Alex Nylander is the number 1 prospect in this magazine here from last summer that I've got. Brandon Gooley is the number 1 prospect on the blue line. Hudson Fashing's there as a prospect. Justin Bailey after that. Justin Bailey's been playing with them this year. So in terms of their prospects, Nylander is the best guy they've got. And I don't know. I mean, I want to say, yeah, Nylander's just going to step in and be every bit as good as his brother being very underrated right now by people who seem to want to trade him out of Toronto. But it's impossible to say with a prospect until they've played in the NHL how they're going to play in the NHL. So, Nylander is probably part of the solution. This is where Buffalo's in trouble, and this is why when people say, "Oh, just tank," Buffalo's kind of become a cautionary tale too, because just tank, you end up with this. You end up with a situation where you have a young team. You have, like, on the blue line, Ristolainen's having a very good season. He's slowed down over the last month and a half, but he's young and he's playing a lot of hockey. 139 hits in 54 games, 126 block shots, and 86 attempted blocks. The guy has a very good all-around game. But after that, on the blue line, I mean, you got Cody Franzen, who is probably on his way out the door. McCabe is good. I wouldn't put him in the tremendous category. Taylor Fedun has played 23 games, 7 points. Never understood why Fedun doesn't get more games in the NHL because he puts up decent point totals. Zach Bogosian, probably never going to be the player he was drafted to be. Grant is a depth forward with no goals. So that's why I was thinking, defense. It's like, oh no, Derek Grant's a forward, no goals. Zip. And last year he was signed out of Calgary. So I mean, there's a lot of players here like they just extended Falk for another, I think it was 650 grand they gave him. There's a lot of things in Buffalo that need to improve. And I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I know that expansion can help them. they can make deals with Vegas, and Vegas picks up a bunch of guys who are good, not great. Buffalo can probably take a couple of those guys from middle round draft picks or secondary prospect, and maybe beef themselves up quicker. In net, I think they're okay. I think Lehner's been good, uh, and Nilsson's been good, and then they've got Ullmark down in the minors as well. And Ullmark, I honestly am kind of surprised Ullmark wasn't up with the team this year because Ullmark's numbers last year 8-10-2, 9-13 save percentage in 20 games. It's not bad. It's not bad for a guy who's a sixth round draft pick. So, in terms of fixing Buffalo, I think they need to win the draft lottery and draft Nolan Patrick. And I understand that they've got Eichel and they've got O'Reilly and they've got Reinhart, but another center could help them because they've already got Reinhart playing on the wing. And it's always good to have extra players. Redundant centers are good. It's like you can never have too much depth down the middle. You can never have too much depth on the blue line. And I honestly believe you need at least 3 deep goaltending. Because when you've got 2 goaltenders and then nothing in the minors, you're kind of hosed. So Ullmark, I honestly think is going to come in next year as the backup, and I don't know whether they're going to get rid of Lehner or Nilsson. Because, Lehner's the more expensive option, and their numbers are very similar. But Nilsson hasn't established himself at any point in his career as a potential starter, and you're running a great risk there. Sorry, just my phone's going nuts here. Let's take a quick look. Oh, it's not my phone, it's hers. Okay. Yeah, it's not my phone, it's hers. It's her tablet in the corner going nuts. All right. So the Buffalo conundrum is this. Who do you keep? Who do you get rid of? Do they need more veterans? Do they need to take a Giunta, a Molson, and a Kane and just rent them all out? Do you find anybody to take Molson at this point? I don't think you do. You might find a taker for Kane. Kane's played well enough that I think somebody will take a shot at him. Probably Vancouver. And in terms of Giunta, he's played relatively well. He's been one of the better forwards. And you can probably find a taker for him. But then it's a matter of replacing these guys. See, it's that, like I said, it's that mushy middle. It's when your team isn't so bad that you can pick up guys. And in the case of, you look at Toronto and Edmonton, Edmonton and Toronto both have generational centers in Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid. The Maple Leafs also took a whole lot of prospects and gathered them all together and waited until this year to bring some guys up who might have been ready in it last year. Buffalo doesn't have that. I don't see Buffalo having that tremendous depth in terms of prospects and in terms of youth. And I'm not sure where it goes. Like, I know there was an article today about Kulikov. Kulikov could be a rental at the deadline. Okay, I don't see anything right now in Buffalo that I look at and I say, okay, they're going to be in the playoffs next year. They're going to be contenders because Reinhart hasn't shown it yet. He's not consistently. Eichel, some inconsistency there. I know he's had injury issues. Don't jump all over me. I know he's had injury issues. I'm just saying, when you're dealing with the young kids, you're going to have some fragile confidence with these kids too, where they start second guessing themselves a little more than a veteran's going to. And it can really snowball if a kid has a bad season and then has a bad start to the next season. Like, this is the kind of stuff I look ahead at and I go, okay, I want to say Buffalo is going to be, playoff team next year. And technically they're in the race right now. And I get that. I totally get that. I totally get that they're technically still in the race. They're 6 points back. And they've got games in hand on Boston, who hold that last wildcard spot. But when you look at the underlying numbers, they're not really close. Okay. The Sabres have picked up a lot of overtime losses and shootout losses, which has beefed up their record a little better than what it really is. And I think it's one of those things where I look and I go, okay, is Eichel, Nylander, Ristolainen, Are they building themselves up to be a contending team or just a wild card team? And that's the key. So that's to me where Buffalo is right now, and it's not a fun place to be. Because for every, everybody talks about Chicago and Pittsburgh, and now they're talking about Toronto, like, oh, this is how you do it. For every one of those, there's a team like Columbus that took forever to get here, Florida that took forever, the Islanders that are still trying to get Tavares over the hump. You have all of these teams that have done a teardown, and then that build back up gets really, really tough at this point, where you've got all these guys in entry level contracts. You got to take advantage of it now, and you don't have the roster to play with them that can take advantage of it. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I understand there are Buffalo fans who say if we weren't dealing with injuries, we'd be in the playoffs. There are Canuck fans saying the same thing. There are fans of almost any team that's out of the playoffs right now that are saying the same thing. The league is very close. It's very tough to get that upper hand on everybody else. Depth is huge, and when you get injured, or when you get injuries on your team and it negatively impacts your team the way it has for Buffalo, it shows that the organizational depth just isn't there yet. So let me know in the comments below why I'm wrong. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. I will, once the season's over, be doing a whole look at all 30 teams, the same as I did last summer. I'm doing this one with Buffalo because it was requested of me to discuss Buffalo a little bit because I don't talk about them very much. And I figured, yeah, what the heck? Because everybody's talking about Edmonton and Toronto and pointing and going, that's how you do it. Edmonton got McDavid. That's how they're doing it. And for Buffalo, they didn't get McDavid, and I think that's the big separator between Edmonton and Buffalo. I think if Buffalo had got McDavid, we'd probably be talking about Buffalo being in the playoffs. It is that final line between being a have and a have not, and it is really tough to go from being a have not to being a have, but it is really easy to go from being a have to a have not. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon with more videos.